Bensimas continues in San Vincent and the Grenadines a few days ahead of the end of the carnival with Mardi Gras. On Sunday and early Monday morning, Victoria Park was witness to the celebration of the contest in search of the Calypso Monarch, one of the most anticipated events of the festivities. The Queen of the Bands contest was also held, in which the representatives of each of the local traditional bands show off their elaborate thematic costumes in search of the 2025 Little Monarch.
So it is very nice to see that we still have this mass going about. The traditional aspect is not lost to anybody. We still do our hand pieces, watch my hand still with contact. So we were up to last night, well, yes, last night because it's this morning now, that we were still preparing this and we have our king to come. All right, so it is very it, beyond words, beyond words. But it is a pleasure to be on the stage just to perform and make my whole team proud, right? Just to look out and to see all the smiles on their faces, it's phenomenal.
In this context, another of the events that took place early on Monday morning was the Jovet, a typical celebration of the country's carnival that starts before dawn and fills the island streets with music and dance, an expression of culture and community spirit. Jovet, originating from the French words meaning daybreak or morning, precedes the traditional Mardi Gras, which will close the 2025 Bensimas on Tuesday with a huge parade.
Cincimas is literally the hottest carnival in the Caribbean. As you can see, we don't party normal. It's a good vibe. The sun's coming up. Good energy. Everybody's out here having fun, listening to music, having drinks, eating Vinci food. That's the vibe.
So, because we're just not one person in the Caribbean, one Caribbean island, it's all different cultures, all different countries, all different cultures, as I said. I love our master moves. I've done all the countries like Jamaica, I've done Grenada, I've done St. Lucia, but Vinci Mass is it just holds a special spot in my heart. Yeah, I just like my people. My people have vibes, so I absolutely love it.
And to go deep into the relevance of the 17th Summit of the BRICS, we invite now author and journalist Arnold August. Hi Arnold, how are you? And thank you very much for joining us.
Very well. Thank you very much. How are you?
Very good. First, Arnold, to what extent has BRICS evolved from an economic bloc into a geopolitical counterweight to Western-led alliances? We're talking about like NATO, G7, for example.
Yes, I think that, one has to take into account, we're talking about BRICS. Of course, there's a lot of weaknesses and all that and differences amongst the different members, but that's normal. But BRICS is only 17 years old. And that's very young when one takes into account that it is taking place in opposition to a system of colonialism and imperialism that has existed over 5 centuries. Now, right now, as we speak, BRICS already has 11 full members. That is Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, United Arab Emirates, Indonesia, and Saudi Arabia. That's 11. Plus, as you probably know, there are now 10 partners, which are very important, many of which are in Latin America. For example, amongst the countries that are now partners, you have Belarus, Bolivia, Cuba, Kazakhstan, Malaysia, Nigeria, Thailand, Uganda, Uzbekistan, and Vietnam. Now, all these countries together, Alejandra, they comprise over 40% of the global economy. That's quite a bit. And if one takes into account amongst these countries, you have China, whose modernization is developing so quickly, is going to increase the proportion of the BRICS countries and the overall global economy in the coming years. In addition, the BRICS countries, they comprise over 50% of the world population. So as you're saying, it's a very important development that's taking place as a counterweight to the northern hegemony over the global south.
And the main themes of this summit's agenda included multilateral peace, included also security architecture. How might the expansion of the BRICS with countries like Iran, Egypt, Ethiopia reshape the bloc's position on global conflict resolutions? Let's recall that we are taking into account that this summit is taking place just a few weeks after the 12-day confrontation between Israel and Iran.
Yes, I think that's an important point because, for example, one of the main issues in the world today, talking about the Middle East, etc., is the issue of sanctions. And one of the positive things that is coming out, that came out of the BRICS conclave in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil over the last couple of days, was a step further towards offering an alternative to the SWIFT network, which the SWIFT network is the US-based, US-run banking network, which controls all of the finances around the world. Now, BRICS does not pretend to overcome this right away, but they took an important step against this past couple of days, where the mechanism to look into an alternative to the SWIFT mechanism is being worked out, and of course is very closely in conjunction with the new development bank, which is part of BRICS and is based in Shanghai, run by Dilma Rousseff, and of course working very closely with Lula. And so I think this is very important, and it's not an accident, Alejandra, that of all the things that are taking place in Brazil, he pointed out today, he warned the people in the BRICS not to join any effort to develop an alternative to the SWIFT system of financing. He said he will slap 10% sanction on any country that tries to do that. Well, thanks a lot, Mr. Trump, because what he's doing, he's encouraging the countries in the global south to work further toward that goal, to have not to overthrow the U.S. system as such, but have an alternative to the U.S. system based on the SWIFT, which is what the global south wants. They want a sanction-free economic system, financial system, and that is what they're looking for. The SWIFT system is made to measure, to be used for sanctions against countries. For example, Cuba. Because Cuba is on the so-called list of countries supporting terrorism, they cannot use the SWIFT system for banking exchanges. So this is another way in which the North uses sanctions against the countries of the South. And if good thing comes out of this meeting in Brazil over the last 2 days, is that one step further to replace or to offer an alternative to the SWIFT system of economic international banking.
You mentioned finances, and precisely another key issue in the summit's agenda was economy. And in this matter, what role could the new development bank play in the current international scenario, which is marked by precisely what you mentioned, Trump's war on the global economy through the imposition of tariffs?
Well, I think that, irrespective of what Trump says, irrespective of his wishes, one of the main features of the BRICS is very closely tied with countries such as China. For example, China is working out very important development schemes within Belt and Road initiatives, as well as other type of exchange between countries in the global south to develop the respective economies in the global south, not based on the issue on profit, which is the only way the North can carry out so-called development, but rather on the base of what the Chinese call win-win politics. That is to develop, for example, in Africa and other countries in Southeast Asia, develop the economy so that the people there could have a better lifestyle, better life, and vastly improve the living conditions of the people of the South. This is what BRICS is all about. And I think in this sense, China has an important role to play in this whole plan because of its strong role as an economic leader, as well as a model on how to develop economy based on a win-win situation and against the imperative of the imperialist North, where they only see countries in the South historically as a source of profit. This is coming to an end slowly but surely with the development of BRICS.
Thank you, Arnold, for taking us through the main highlights of this summit's agenda and for your time hearing from the South.
You're welcome. Thank you.
In Venezuela, the command of the Great Patriotic Poll Coalition's campaign met Monday to finalize details ahead of the municipal elections to be held next July 27th. The meeting was presided over by the head of the campaign, Jorge Rodriguez, where the command's members discussed the strategies to be developed during the municipal campaigns scheduled for July 11th. Under the slogan, "People Who Deliver," the political coalition aims at getting closer to the Venezuelan people and crystallizing the projects that are being developed in the South American country. More than 21 million Venezuelans are called to the polls on July 27th to elect the new mayors of the 335 municipalities of